So, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Rita Kwan, and I teach at F.E. Osborne Junior High School in Calgary. I teach Humanities 8 and Food 7 and 8, and I'm in my 15th year of teaching.
Awesome. And so how do you integrate technology into your classroom?
So I try and integrate technology by trying to use apps or like suggestions I find either through a workshop or on social media, specifically Twitter. So for example, like Edutopia, I have found to be a good resource. And then ASCD, which is a American based organization just for teachers and leaders in education. And then from colleagues as well, and interns that I've had in the past as well. So for example, for social studies, the one that has been quite popular like the last year and a half has been Kahoot, which is sort of putting, like using that for review, for understanding concepts. And students bring their own devices into the class and use them. For foods, I did something really interesting this year, and they made like the food tutorial videos have been really popular on social media and on the internet. So I had my students pick a recipe, and they had to make it and film it at the same time and then edit it afterwards. So that seemed to work really well. So those are some of the examples of some of the technology that I've incorporated into my classes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like the foods tutorial ideas. So you have the kids make their own tutorial video?
So before they actually started videoing, I showed them videos on sort of how-tos, like tutorials on how to make videos, those tutorial videos, and how to set up your camera. And so there were some videos where some of the setup was highly sophisticated, so like overhead, like tripods, so to shoot from above. And so, you know, I said, you know, because we don't have that equipment at the school, you're just going to have to improvise. So having looked at some of the videos, I was pretty pleased at the results. So one person would do all the filming, and then afterwards they would, as a group, edit the videos.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider having them actually post those videos somewhere on the internet, or did they themselves?
So yeah, at that I didn't get that far, but I think that would be the next step for next year. So this was the first time I did it, and so I just thought, oh, we'll try it and see if it works, and then maybe the next step is to actually post it. Our school has an Instagram account, and so to post it on our Instagram account. We also had trouble as teachers just trying to figure out. So our assistant principal runs the Instagram account, so he had trouble trying to figure out how to download the video. So it's some of those tech issues that we might not be, because it's new to us.
Yeah.
So it's figuring those things out.
Cool, awesome. All right, and so what are some positives that you've noticed when integrating technology into your classroom?
So one of the positives is with Kahoot, like I found kids were really asking for it a lot, like let's play it. And so Kahoot is great, but then having a way, like taking it one step further to track progress would be better for the classroom. So it is a way to give me feedback, but it doesn't necessarily give me like the authentic feedback that I'm looking for as it pertains to each student and where they're progressing. But it's certainly fun because they like the competitive aspect of it. And so they are asking for it, which is really, it's really good because they like it and they're into it. And so those are one of the challenges, and that, or positives. And then for me, the positive is that I'm learning about new apps, and I'm trying to incorporate it into my teacher practice.
Awesome. And what are some areas of concern you have with technology and the internet being integrated into the classroom?
So the challenges or areas of concern, it's always testing it out, finding whether or not it works for the group, and just are they all learning something? And I know some students will be more engaged even with technology, and some students that aren't into technology aren't as engaged. So it's a matter of making sure that they at least are to some degree engaged with the activity. And then it's just finding time to test things out and learning at the same time. I think it's okay for me to say, well, I'm learning it as well, or I'm trying this for the first time, so just bear with me. Or if there are some glitches, like understand that like we're in this together and we're just trying it and see if it works. And if it works, great, then we'll keep using it. And if it doesn't, it's okay to abandon it as well.
Awesome. Is there any like specific apps or anything that you've tried that just didn't work that well?
There hasn't really been an app that stands out that hasn't worked out as well. I can't think of one at the moment. Yeah.
Have you seen a difference in learning with the increase in technologies over time?
Students are more willing to embrace new technology, and I feel as though if you create that environment where technology it can be used positively in a classroom, then like kids will follow. I teach at a school where I think with any school, I think there can be a divide with amongst teachers as to technology in the classroom, especially the use of personal electronic devices or smartphones. There's always a divide of, well, they should be able to use it or there shouldn't be. And I think, especially with smartphones, they all have one. So it's important to teach them like how to use it correctly or how to use technology for good. And I tell them like, we want to use technology for good as opposed to evil. So, and then the engagement level, like the engagement piece, is always a challenge because you can engage most of them, and then there's always going to be just a small number that you have to bring along with a little more encouragement.
Awesome, thank you. So how would you go about integrating technology in a school that has limited resources?
So at my school, I think our challenge specifically is our hardware is outdated and our network can be really slow. And so I guess some of the limitations or if there's a limited number of devices at the school, that then I try and work my schedule around I guess like computer lab bookings. If there is I try and use programs that are accessible at the school level without having the school spend money, like purchasing licenses or purchasing software that we need. And so that I think is mostly the challenge, is having enough of those resources for a class and having them sort of work the way you want them to work. And it's teaching students to be a bit more patient because the machines aren't always going to be as fast as the ones they have at home. So yeah, it's like sometimes it's just like, well, we just have to wait. And yeah, so it's just a lot of patience and flexibility.
Awesome. And so how do you go about teaching your students resources and fact checking online?
So I always suggest that, when they look at a website, it should have an author associated with the website or the information, and also question what authority does that person have to write about the information or the topic or the subject. And if they can find facts across multiple websites, then it's probably reliable. And I talk about sort of the .org type websites are more reliable. The education websites are more reliable. And they start to question too. It's like they start to come and ask me questions. Well, I found this information on these websites, but then there's another group of websites that has this information. So they start to question. And once they get into a habit, then it's nice to see that they get into that habit of questioning whether or not the information they're researching is correct or not.
Awesome, thanks. Is it okay if I ask you another question?
Sure.
Okay. Have you ever considered incorporating blogging into your classroom?
So I have a friend at another junior high school, and all their teachers have a blog. And so I met with her actually just a few weeks ago, and I was asking her about blogging and sort of what she thinks the positives are and what some of the challenges are. We use like a Desire to Learn or Brightspace platform at the school right now, and a lot of us teachers have been talking, and we think, oh, it's not really the most effective. And so it's something I think I'm interested in, and I think I'd like to look more into. So yeah, for sure, I'd be willing to look into it and just see, how that may work better than the current platform we're using to interact with students.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Rita.
Thanks, Larissa.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me ask you all these questions and such.